Right, good afternoon everyone again. Welcome everyone. I'm Dirk, Vennix, Chief Executive of CIRIA. Thank you for coming and showing a keen interest in this industry showcase event for biodiversity. So what I thought I'd do now, for those who don't know us, a quick introduction to CIRIA. For 60 years, as you can see, CIRIA's role has been to improve the performance of the construction and the built environment sectors. And we've done that by being the leading provider of knowledge aimed at improving performance in our chosen themes through delivering independent and authoritative guidance, as well as high quality training courses, awards such as today's awards and networking events, which obviously over the last 18 months have gone virtually. As you can see from the next slide, we have a wide remit covering infrastructure asset management and how we can improve the natural and heritage environment through sustainable water management, sustainability, and mitigation against contaminants. And I think it's fair to say that wider sustainability issues have been at the heart of CIRIA's work for decades and is supported to this day by more than 80 CIRIA members, which you can see on the next slide. And I'm really pleased to see so many members are represented here today on the awards afternoon, the virtual awards, our first virtual awards after 7 years, which we're really looking forward to this afternoon. So this year marks the 7th anniversary. We obviously had a hiatus last year because of COVID-19 impacts, but as you can see from the timeline, doing one thing has exploded over the years into a very well appreciated and recognized awards process with up to 700 entries by 2019. And 29 awards and 5 overall winning awards have been handed out over the last 7 anniversary award ceremonies that we've had. This year we've got 30 entries across 8 categories, and I'm sure you can't wait to hear who has won them. And every time I hear the judges say that they are gobsmacked by the improvements in the consistent quality and depth of the submissions that they get. And credit must go to our biodiversity interest group, set up 9 years ago and coming up trumps with this idea for doing just one thing for biodiversity. And the BIG group also played a big role in identifying biodiversity net gain as an emerging topic, and it led to guidance with IEMA and SustMeme in subsequent years. So I think I've only got one slide left before we can start proceedings, and that's to say a big thank you to our sponsors this year, Arcadis, Barclay Group, Heathrow, Kia, Murphy, National Highways, Trust Management, and Wildfire Turf. So I would now like to hand over to our guest speakers, and I'd like to start by saying a warm welcome to Gill Perkins from Bumblebee Conservation Trust, who'll talk to us in a minute about the topic that you just saw up there, biodiversity in the UK. Is it still a buzz, as I think it is, or is it going bust? I'll be very interested to hear Gill's views, particularly because she's been an enthusiastic conservationist from a young age, starting with building footpaths in Devon as a volunteer, and then the highlight of her career, don't know if we can see it in the backdrop, but counting puffins for the Icelandic National Park, especially if there's 250,000, that was one a hell of a count. But as CEO now for the Bumblebee Conservation Trust, Gill has found the perfect channel through which to promote her passion for bumblebees and their valued protection. Over to Gill.
Thank you very much indeed, and a very warm welcome to all here today from the Bumblebee Conservation Trust. I'm delighted to be here as a speaker. Thank you very much for asking me along. I always like to start with a beautiful picture of a bumblebee and an interesting fact, because I can't resist it. Did you know it's not the wings that make the buzz, but the muscles in their thorax? They can disconnect their wings from their muscles and vibrate them at 400 hertz, which is exactly the vibration the tomato flower needs to open its anther and release the pollen. If you like Bloody Marys, pizza or salsa, you thank the bumblebees. No other insect can pollinate a tomato. On to more important things. So I'm very conscious. Oh, no, it's not going to go. Sorry, it's not. Oh, there we are. I'm very conscious that in my sector that we use words, jargon, acronyms with abandon. I like to keep things simple. So when we did that, there was a survey some years ago, and some people were just stopped on the street and were asked, what does biodiversity mean to them? And 8 out of 10 said it was a washing powder. Biodiversity to me refers to the variety of life on Earth, and that includes us humans. So often we use us as a species out of that. The world is witnessing a colossal decline in global biodiversity. 1 million animals and plant species are threatened with extinction. Most terrestrial biodomes are damaged. Since 1970, there has been 68% decrease in population sizes of mammals, birds, amphibians, reptiles and fish. This global picture is reflected in the UK, one of the most nature-depleted countries in the world. 15% of UK species are threatened with extinction. Of the G7 countries, sadly, the UK has the lowest level of biodiversity remaining. There's a real lag on the slide, so sorry about that. And here's another one that we use with abandon, natural capital. So natural capital is the world's stocks of natural assets, which include geology, soil, air, water, and all living things. It's from this natural capital that we humans derive a wide range of services, often called ecosystem services, which makes our life, human life, possible. Any excuse for a bee picture. So here's this lovely bumblebee creating a tomato. As I said, something only bumblebees can do. So the most obvious ecosystem service includes the food we eat, the water we drink, and the plant materials we use for fuel, building materials and medicines. There are also many less visible ecosystem services, such as the climate regulation, natural flood defences provided by forests, the billions of tons of carbon stored by peatlands and grasslands, or the pollination of crops by insects. Even less visible are the cultural ecosystem services, such as the inspiration we take from wildlife and the natural environment. And if COVID has taught us nothing over these last 18 months, it's how valuable the natural world, getting out in nature, is to our mental health. In spite of the ecological, cultural and economic importance of these services and ecosystems, and the biodiversity that underpins them are still being degraded and lost at an unprecedented scale. One major reason for this is that the value and importance of ecosystems to human welfare is still underestimated and not fully recognised in everyday planning and decision making. In other words, the benefits of their services are not or only partly captured in conventional market economics. And I think, furthermore, the costs of externalities of economic development, e.g. pollution, deforestation, are usually not accounted for, while inappropriate tax and subsidy systems encourage the overexploitation and unsustainable use of natural resources and other ecosystem services at the expense of poor future generations. So just looking at one ecosystem service, and that is pollination, it's estimated that pollination is worth £691 million to this country, 14.2 billion euros to Europe. So that means that if we were to use this free service that our insects provide for us, we'd have to send our children out to self-pollinate. And that does happen in some areas, in China, for example. And I think there's a few reasons why we should be concerned about the declines of bumblebees and pollinators. In commercial terms, they're really important pollinators and contribute to our economy. In 2012, insect pollination including bumblebees, was estimated to be worth, as I said, £691 million. 84% of all the crops grown in the UK depend on pollination. So it's really, really an important ecosystem service. Honeybees, also good pollinators, not as good as our wild pollinators. They produce honey, obviously, but it's the food, that connection with food that I'm really interested in. Our whole food security depends on the pollination ecosystem. It's not just food too. Just think about the plants in your garden and the colours. That's all down to pollination. The way our countryside looks, the creatures within it that live off the seeds and the berries from pollination. It's a very, very important web. So I want to talk a little bit about partnership work and the work that we've been doing in collaboration with the construction industry. One of the things I'd like to mention is that there are 7 species NGOs, bats, bugs, birds, plants, amphibians and bumblebees, who have got together to form a group called Rethink Nature. And we are all about working in a more powerful and consistent way together to reverse the decline in all our species. 3 of us, plant life, bumblebees and butterfly conservation, have just set up a campaign called Grasslands Plus. There's a lot about climate change and planting more trees, but it's actually grasslands that are equally important as planting trees. And we're lobbying the government for COP26 at the moment. We've produced some really big £6 million projects, Back from the Brink, Species on the Edge, Nature and Bith. These are all really large projects where we collaborate together to ensure that we get the best outcome for species. We also, the Bumblebee Conservation Trust also worked very closely with the Mineral Products Association, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, and also with one particular housing development, but Redrow Homes, through which we've had a long and successful partnership. I think the gains are bringing expertise together, understanding the different and sometimes complex agendas, learning the art of persuasion, walking in others' shoes. It's been so important. So this is a short case study of our work with Redrow Homes. So there's a real acknowledged understanding for increasing housing stock in the UK, and there is a widespread understanding that nature is under pressure. Our story, the partnership between Redrow Homes and the Bumblebee Conservation Trust, is about creating relationships that work, are sustained, and ensure Redrow's future housing developments are better for nature, better for health and well-being of homeowners, better for pollinators and better for future generations. And it wasn't just a collaboration between us, the Wildland and Wildlife Trust also involved in the collaboration, and all the different departments in Redrow Homes joined together. And more importantly, when you leave a site, it is the management companies that take over, also part of that collaboration. I think Redrow Homes recognise that collectively, nationally, regionally and local policies provide a good overall strategic vision for providing for nature through housing developments. However, these policies were not always translated effectively on ground level. So the partnership with the Bumblebee Conservation Trust ensured that pollinators specifically and nature generally became central to their plans, a unique partnership with challenges, learning, developing, refocusing, and that achievements continues. So the story starts and continues at Saxon Brook, a development in Exeter, the first of its kind, a unique and innovative housing development that recognised the need to support our dwindling pollinators, the development of both beautiful landscaped areas designed to encourage pollinators and other wildlife, at the same time as providing a colourful and beautiful, inspiring spaces for residents to enjoy. The good news is that we can play an important role in halting and reversing these losses. We can provide opportunities for nature on developments by protecting and enhancing existing habitats and species, as well as designing in quality new habitats. Our developments can play a vital role in helping to protect and restore natural habitats and wildlife networks. We have over 1 million hectares of gardens in this country. If everybody planted bee-friendly flowers, that would absolutely reverse the decline in our pollinators, go towards reversing the decline. At the same time, we can enable residents to enjoy the health and well-being benefits of connecting with nature on their doorstep. Working with planning and technical teams across the business, together the Trust, the Wildlife Trust and Redrow identify 8 key opportunities that will help nature thrive on their development. These quick wins are intended to be simple ideas, a starting point to explore and try out new developments. Many of them will be appropriate to most developments. For example, planting native species, some of them only relevant to particular sites. For example, reusing excavated materials to create wild-friendly landscapes. Just a really short piece before I finish about the work of the Trust and other NGOs with the Mineral Products Association, the bedrock of the supply for the construction industry. The Mineral Products Association and the Bumblebee Conservation Trust have collaborated together since 2013. They hold an annual Quarry Restoration Award scheme, which recognises excellence in returning quarried land to beneficial after uses. With a pedigree stretching back more than 40 years, the scheme has rewarded mineral operators across the length and breadth of the UK for a job well done. Many thousands of acres of quarried land have come under the scrutiny of an independent judging panel that inspected hundreds of sites that have either been successfully returned to agriculture with little if any sign of the land has ever been disturbed. More importantly, quarrying has provided a one-off opportunity for change, creating stunning wildlife habitats, improving biodiversity, providing beautiful areas for the community to benefit. We are really, really proud of our association with them and their work with the construction industry. So more and more people live with their lives with little or no contact with nature. This disconnect, we know, affects mental health, it contributes to obesity, and even has an impact on life expectancy. Integrating nature into the built environment can help to address these problems, change the way people think about their gardens, the area they live in, and the community they are part of. Providing an environment that is inspiring and educational, that informs the community, could be the most important application of urban ecology as a means of promoting effective conservation of native species. Evidence shows that a thriving, wildlife-rich environment benefits both physical and mental health. People with nature on their doorstep are more active, mentally resilient, and better all-round health. Every day, the work of the construction industry and conservation groups are working to bring wildlife to more people and more people to wildlife. And finally, I'd just like to relate a very short story. When I was growing up, my parents used to play a Bob Dylan song. Some of you may know it. Who Killed Davy Moore? It's about a boxer who dies in the ring when he was just 30 years old. Each verse begins with some party: the coach, the crowd, the manager, the gambling man, the boxing writer, the other fighter, answering the title's question, who killed Davy Moore? They each respond, not I, and then explain that they were just doing what it is they do, writing about it, throwing punches, etc. For me, it's a good analogy. We too are doing just what it is that we do. We ensure the largest political donors support our political campaigns. We are maximising profits. We're ensuring a high share price, living a comfortable lifestyle, avoiding change, lazily buying back into the conceit that we humans are special. I'm not taking any moral high ground here at all. I'm just as guilty as everyone. But sometimes just doing what it is we do is sufficient to kill not just Davy Moore, but everything. Everyone can and should do one thing to make our planet sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Gill, for that passionate plea. Also, in a startling way, reminding us of the threats to biodiversity. And it makes doing just one thing even more important. I'm glad we're still here doing it. And I'm glad that you've also mentioned Rethink Nature and the grasslands plus being set up. Because at the end of the day, as CIRIA has always demonstrated over the last 60 years, the key to change, to delivering improvement or change in performance will be collaboration. So I'm really pleased that you struck that note as our keynote speaker to start with. I'd like to now hand over to David Elliot, who's the Chief Executive for Trees for Cities. David also serves as a Commissioner for the London Sustainable Development Commission. He's also a trustee for the African Conservation Foundation, and previously was involved with the International Tree Foundation. I'd like to hand over to David.
Hi, we're Trees for Cities, and as the name suggests, we plant trees in cities. But we also do a lot more. Back in 1993, 4 friends got together, all of whom wanted more trees in cities. How? Simple. Throw parties to raise funds, to bring communities and volunteers together, and start planting. Today, we've stayed loyal to our roots, planting trees on city streets, in estates, parks, and hospital grounds in the UK. And all over the globe. We also get kids excited about growing and eating fruit and vegetables with our edible playgrounds, teaching gardens that spruce up school grounds. We do what we do because we need to breathe cleaner air, remove noise pollution, get outside more often and really enjoy our 5 a day. We're making cities happier, healthier places to live and loving it. So get involved. Let's all make our cities greener.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. And thank you very much for the introduction, Dirk. It's a real pleasure to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words from this fantastic event with such a great history to it. So it's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you. As I thought I'd use that video just as a quick introduction to us. Some of you might know Trees for Cities, some of you might not. And I know some of the organisations featured today are those that we work with or have worked with in the past. But hopefully that gave you just a quick overview of who we are and what we do. My few words today are entitled The Urban Tree Journey. And what I wanted to just cover off in the time available is to look fairly briefly at the past, the present and the future in regards to urban trees. And really because it feels to me, from my perspective, that we are at or at the brink of quite a paradigm shift in the way that our urban trees are thought about and actioned upon. And it'd be really interesting, where I'm in the room with you today, to hear your views on whether you agree with that paradigm shift or not. But I think it's important to, in order to look at the present and the future, it's always useful to look at the past as well. And I think to appreciate, actually, from an urban tree perspective, that the UK has a proud history, proud legacy of trees. We are a nation who, for many generations, have valued trees in our towns and cities. So we're not starting from scratch. And actually, compared to many cities across the world and even in Europe, our cities have been thought about and designed with trees and green in mind. And that, I think, from a historical perspective, if you look at the Edwardian and Victorian avenues of trees, these are grand old avenues. In London, where I'm living and based, obviously you've got these huge avenues lining streets and parks. One of the downsides of that is that monocultures were created, which weren't particularly great necessarily for biodiversity always, and fairly susceptible to modern day pests and diseases, but also monoculture in the sense of the age profile of these trees, many of which now are hundreds of years old, and we're not quite sure how long they're going to live. And so we need to be thinking about the next generation of urban trees and leaving a generation behind where people talk about this generation as much as we talk about, say, the Victorian trees. And I think back in historically in those days, trees were very much thought about for aesthetic reasons, understandably so, because the science wasn't there so much to think about the other benefits. And that aesthetic angle really also gave birth, I think, to the origins of what I call the urban arboretum. Our cities are amazing places for the variety and diversity of trees. I obviously talk about the monocultures on avenues, but actually across different streets and parts of cities, Many different types of trees over many generations have been planted. And it's a fascinating place. There's, you know, exploration on a city basis is something that can be done very much through the lens of trees. And many more people are now starting to engage and understand that you know, there's a lot to discover on our streets. And that's something I'll come back to talk about a little bit more later. But I think on the other side, probably what happened, you know, given that approach that was taken, was it was sowing the seeds for the green disparities that we now see in our towns and cities. And most of you, I'm sure, will be very aware of the fact that, you know, the greener parts of our towns and cities tend to be the wealthier parts. And likewise, on the flip side, the places that are greyer with less tree cover, less green space, are more deprived, less wealthy areas. And that disparity is a real problem when it comes to thinking about how we approach the problem for the future. I think in general, and up until fairly recent years, the environment has been something that's been thought about in regards to the countryside. People think about, you know, people have considered the urban context outside of the environment. And only recently, really, when Trees for Cities was started 30 years ago, I think the urban environmentalism was niche. But that change is really starting to happen at the moment from my perspective. So that sort of brings us on to the present. Sort of as mentioned, I'm starting to really see it from my perspective, from my lens, sort of what I'm seeing as a big shift in the space. I've been with Trees for Cities now for about 6 years, and over that period, I've seen an enormous change and growth in the interest, in the awareness, in the media profile, to some degree, the funding for urban trees and green spaces, which is fantastic. And part of the challenge, as I'll come into next, is around how we really realise and implement the benefits that we can now understand better. And I've bracketed these benefits under two sort of key headings, and there's a bit of repetition here with what Gill said, because obviously it's so overlapping with everything that Gill is doing and standing for. But the natural capital value of trees is something that we really understand so much more now than we did a few years ago. And there are systems out there, for example, a system called iTree, which takes an assessment of the urban canopy, and through that assessment, it can then calculate a whole variety of ecosystem services, natural capital values of trees. And just for example, in London, there was an iTree assessment that was taken a few years ago, which estimated that in London, every year, annually, trees provide over £130 million worth of benefits. So you times that by year after year, city after city, and it shows that actually there was a huge financial driver behind this as well. And that's not something that we can forget or turn a blind eye to, because that's it's a key decision-making point for many people. And of these natural capital values, obviously there's, these will be ones that you're very aware of. Climate adaptation, probably the biggest talking point at the moment, leading up to COP. And particularly from an adaptation perspective, the urban heat island effect and flooding. The urban heat island effect is probably one of the most biggest changes we're going to see in our cities over the coming years as our climates change. A recent study I just read this week around red-lined areas in US cities, saying that on average these are 2.6 degrees warmer than the non-red-lined areas. So the poorer, the less affluent areas, significantly hotter. And those sort of studies, there are so many of them coming out showing the differences in temperature that link back to that point about affluence and deprivation. And that's not something that is fair, and something that we need to very much address. That difference can be, actually in some studies, anything up to 5 to 6 degrees. It can be significant. In fact, today, again, if you go onto the BBC website, there's just now, I was watching a new video that's been put up there about Karachi in Pakistan, again, talking about growing trees in an urban forest to mitigate the huge temperature changes that they're experiencing. And flooding, as this group will be so aware of, the impact of flooding due to climate change, and where we have hard, impermeable surfaces, breaking that up with tree stock, adding trees into the mix to slow down the flood water, to create barriers, to create ways to prevent these localized flooding events, which are becoming ever more prominent in our towns and cities, and more severe. Air quality improvements is another big one for trees and green spaces. Although we need to be careful about trees and how much we talk about trees in terms of the absorption capacity of trees, trees do play a key role in air quality, improving air quality, particularly creating barrier effects when planted in the right place, the barrier of that tree between highway and footpath, for example, or highway and school, can have a really significant impact on aspects such as particulate matter. And noise, I think, is one of those things which we haven't yet really got our heads around, and I think is one of the future aspects for us to really focus on, and something that has such a huge impact on our psychological well-being. You know, the background noise that we experience in cities is something that I think we haven't really understood the effect that has on us, to anything as much as we really need to. And again, trees, the absorption capacity of trees for noise is a huge driver of one reason to plant trees. And then, of course, and very much linked to this event today, biodiversity and bioabundance. And I think our cities are really now being understood as hubs of nature. And that again is part of that paradigm shift. We're talking about national park cities, something which could never have been even considered a few years ago, with this division between urban and rural. There's a lot of talk about the rewilding of our cities, for example, the rewilding of our verges. Link back again to Gill's presentation about pollinators, for example. Huge opportunities to be bringing nature into our cities at a much greater level. And I think bioabundance is a key word within this as well, not just biodiversity, but bioabundance as well. It's about how much we've got, as well as the diversity. There's massive opportunities, so much unused or poor quality green space that we can improve the biodiversity and bioabundance value of those spaces. And then the second sort of category that I'm talking about here is the social capital. We know so much, COVID has obviously brought to light so much about how vital green spaces are to our health and well-being, whether it be escape, exercise, recreation and play. When we're faced at a time of nature deficit disorder and all the statistics that are being gathered around that and the impact it has on us and our children. Our children are estimated to spend only half the time outdoors, playing outdoors as their parents' generation did. And if that trend continues, that's going to have devastating effects on future generations. And so from a health and wellbeing perspective, we've got such a duty to ensure green spaces are enhanced, are protected, and we get as much out of it as possible. And then some of the slightly more sort of softer aspects, the cultural aspects of our trees. It's something to really not lose sight of when we talk so much about natural capital value. For so many people, actually, it's the cultural, historical, aesthetic aspects of trees and green spaces that I think really sort of play into their psyches. The British, you know, we love our emblems of our national trees, our oak leaf, the oak tree, for example, one of many. You see that so often. It is part of our cultural heritage. And likewise, historically, our trees have been with us for hundreds of years and play a key role, whether we appreciate it or not, on our streets, in our cities. They are a key feature of what we see on a daily basis, a key link back to our history. And that really mustn't be forgotten. And the aesthetic piece, which I said has always been there from day one in terms of why trees will be planted in town cities. I think we're understanding more about what benefits aesthetics provide us in terms of our psychological well-being. Actually, as we see that beauty and experience that beauty, the benefit that has to us in terms of our well-being. And aspects, more and more, we're looking at aspects such as forest bathing, mindfulness, etc., that take place in green environments and often in green urban environments, and the importance of these sort of activities in people's busy, noisy lifestyles in an urban context. So looking forward at the future, I think we are in this place where we now understand how much trees and green spaces bring us in an urban context. But what we need to do now is really make sure that we don't lose that momentum, we really implement those benefits. And there are so many things that need to happen. I've just listed some of them here, really. So I think, you know, firstly, we need to ensure that we've got really well integrated strategies, let's say from the local authority level. That green and tree strategies don't sit separately to planning and highways and other related strategies. That actually everything's working together, and still too often everything seems very siloed. And hopefully this plays true to many people listening in today, understanding now how important it is to integrate these strategies for the future. And I think linked to that, we need to think about budget allocation. It can't be that greenery is the first thing to go in terms of budgets when things are tight. It needs to, from my view, be the opposite way around. We need to ring fence, we need to protect green budgets, we need to increase them. If we're really going to realise all of these benefits, we need to think very differently about how we are funding the sort of work that I'm talking about here. And linked to that, we need to mainstream, really genuinely mainstream greenery, access to green spaces into public health. We need to have another paradigm shift in terms of understanding that prevention is always going to be better than cure. And there's a huge amount of prevention can be achieved through better access, again, to green spaces, better access and usage of green spaces for so many reasons. And for children, we need to think about children learning outside, not learning inside with a little bit of access to outdoors, but flip it on its head. Actually, why not think about the classroom in a sense as an outdoor environment and give children every possible access to the outdoors that they can achieve. And that can be done even in urban city schools. If a lot of our work is focused on that. And I think we need to really ensure that people have ownership over their spaces. So I think this division between public and private is a very dangerous line that gets drawn. Public spaces are not something that belong to somebody else or are responsible to somebody else. They belong to all of us, and we all need to feel that ownership if we're really going to make the most of them. So I think really bringing communities into this to have that role of helping to co-design, co-deliver and co-manage their public spaces is so critical to the future of our cities. And so with all of this, hopefully what we'll create in the future are greater green galleries for whatever changing city. So you see the sort of iconic picture there of green on every surface of a city. That's what we're moving to, with a variety of species, native, non-native. And non-native species are incredibly important for us as we move forward, as we're adapting to the urban environments, different climates, etc. We can't just focus on our native species, many of which are also quite threatened with pests and diseases. So we really need to have an interesting mix of trees, native and non-native, to achieve that. And that really, for me, is what the future of urban environmentalism looks like. I think I'm probably pretty much running out of the time I'm allowed. So I was just going to run through some of the projects that we work on in Tree Cities to try and achieve some of these future benefits. So we have, for example, our Generation Tree program, which is all about engaging young people, youth panels, volunteering, creating resources for people to go out there and do the work themselves at a community level. We have a new program called Trees for Streets, which is a sponsorship model, so people can sponsor a tree outside of their house, pay a little bit of money, which then gets co-funded by their local authority to get trees on your streets, take ownership of your streets. In terms of air quality, for example, we have a program in schools engaging children to understand about air quality, planting green spaces, green infrastructure within schools to help improve the localized air quality, but as much as anything, get kids using those spaces better and really having the benefits of getting outside and learning and playing outside. And we have so many community planting events, bringing often hundreds of people on site to plant trees, engage with trees, and learn how to do it themselves. They can go off and hopefully then help to regenerate their own green spaces. And so a huge core of what we do is getting people outside, obviously, planting trees in their own spaces. And that's a real whistle-stop tour of what we do, but I hope it gives you a flavour. So thank you very much again for bearing with me today and for the time. And it's been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
And thank you, David. I'm really interested in hearing you talk about really the compelling evidence for the serious value of having trees. And I was pleased that you mentioned social value, because I think social value has had a boost in lockdown. And I think I'm not the only one that has appreciated a lot more being walking out, being in a tree-rich environment, which is obviously good for everyone, but is particularly good for your personal well-being and health as well. So thank you for that. So we're now nearly there. We did the preamble. We are now going to get down to the serious business of handing out awards, and we can reveal the winners in a minute. And the task has fallen to our Master of Ceremonies for the afternoon, Jim McClellend, founder and editor of SustMeme, highly active and engaged across social media, as most of you will know, ranked in the top 3 media influencers in sustainability worldwide. So we have a global ambassador with us today for biodiversity. So I'm very pleased to hand over to David. Elliot.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dirk, and of course to Gill Perkins and David Elliot as well. And hello to you all there in Zoomland. As said, my name is Jim McClellend. I'm founder and editor of SustMeme. Great pleasure to be here as your Master of Ceremonies for 2021 at the 7th Annual BIG Biodiversity Challenge Awards. Right from the off, it's worth reiterating what Dirk said earlier about the year-on-year improvements we're really seeing in the awards and the depth of submissions. Despite the hiatus in 2020, the quality of entries
has remained consistently high with some great winners, and all to be revealed between now and 4 p.m. So whether you're joining us from home or work with tea, coffee and biscuits, or even a full 3-course meal, or if you are one of the many entrants for 2021 sitting excitedly and expectantly with the champagne already on ice, welcome. So let the fun begin. A little bit first about the awards themselves. They aim to recognise the range and scale of biodiversity initiatives. They come under 8 different categories, ranging from community engagement via innovation, Pollinator, Biodiversity Legacy Awards. And the programme culminates in the overall winner, who's been selected from the 8 category award winners. And this is based on a combination of all judging criteria, which are about the following: projects going beyond normal business practice, replicability, which is critical, ensuring the quality of habitat created is ecologically valuable, of course, and the extent to which specific biodiversity values were considered and carried through to the delivery of the enhancement. Before we get underway, I'd like to acknowledge, of course, the judging panel for their expertise, dedication, and their hard work undertaken on a voluntary basis to make the BIG Biodiversity Challenge Awards such a success. And there you'll see them all on screen now. We shall be announcing the winners in each category, and if your project wins, woohoo, you'll have the opportunity to say a few words, so please do turn on your microphone and webcam so as we can see and hear you. We shall also be giving recognition to highly commended entries in several award categories once again. So, kept you in suspense long enough now. Let the award presentations commence. Drum roll, please. So, to kick us off, the first presentation today is the Client Award, which I'm delighted to say is once again sponsored by Kia. The award is a recognition of an enhancement from a client organisation, demonstrating a top-down approach to delivering biodiversity on site. Organisations may range from developers to those responsible for the delivery of our energy, transport and water networks. So I'd now like to invite Joe Gilroy from Kia to tell us a little more about the entries and, of course, announce our first winner. Over to you, Joe.
Thank you very much, Jim. It's my absolute pleasure to be here today to reveal the winner of the Client Award. So the entries that we had were Heathrow Airport Biodiversity Management, obviously by Heathrow Airport, and Biodiversity Net Gain Opportunity Creation by Atkins and National Highways. And the Client Award is presented to, drum roll, the award winner, Heathrow Airport Biodiversity Management. Congratulations, Heathrow team. This is what the judges had to say about your worthy entry. We were very impressed by the long-term commitment and levels of enthusiasm for very high quality ecological mitigation and management at such a scale. Really well done. I'd like to invite the attendees from the Heathrow project to come onto camera now and say a few words.
Hello, can you hear and see me? Brilliant, thank you. I'm absolutely flattered that we've won this on behalf of Heathrow. It's not a sole thing. This is absolutely one amongst all our partners, not just our supply chain, which I've got to give a big shout out to EHM and James Webster in particular, and Adam Cheeseman, Emma and Charlotte, absolutely wonderful team. But it's also the local community groups we work with as well that help us keep us honest and keep us on the straight and narrow and keep us in a good place and constantly challenging us in a wonderful way. It's a great partnership. It's a great working way forward, and look forward to more and better.
Thank you very much.
Really well done.
Super. Thank you very much, Joe, and congratulations, Michael, our first winner, Heathrow. So now our second award to be presented this afternoon is the Community Engagement Award, sponsored by Arcadis. This award is presented for an initiative which demonstrates the importance of engaging with and understanding biodiversity. This includes creating biodiversity champions in your organisation, as well as developing programs that engage with the local community. So I'd now like to invite Bruce Lascelles from Arcadis again to list the entries and announce our second winner in this category, please, Bruce. I think you're still on mute there. Fantastic.
There we go. And my video looks a little odd. I'm not quite sure what's going on with it, just so I can see that. But yeah, again, absolutely delighted to be here and delighted to support CIRIA's BIG Biodiversity Awards. Arcadia's biodiversity is very much at the heart of our sustainability vision, and our ecology team lead our clients through biodiversity and natural capital strategy, design and implementation, funding and maintenance. And we're really excited to share this journey with CIRIA and with the whole profession, moving towards a greener, more sustainable and equitable future, improving quality of life for all. And so the entries for the Community Engagement Award are the Wild Glades, the Glades Shopping Centre by LaSalle Investment Management, Biodiversity Net Gain Opportunity Creation by Atkins and National Highways, and Raleigh Norman 400 kV substation by Siemens. And the winner of the Community Engagement Award is the Wild Glades, the Glades Shopping Centre by LaSalle Investment Management. So absolute congratulations to the whole team there. And this is what the judges had to say about this winning project. The extent and quality of engagement for this project is impressive. Curating a natural history pop-up museum, organising an online biodiversity festival, which attracted over 80,000 viewers and 71 schools, and creating a fantastic website reaching people that may not regularly engage with nature. And they also commented about the engagement with Bromley Council to demonstrate the potential to make this a borough-wide approach. So congratulations again to the team, and I'd like to invite a representative from the winning organisation to say a few words now.
Great, thank you very much, Bruce. I don't have champagne, but I do have some bottled water, which I'm swigging in celebration, and it's wonderful. Thank you very much, CIRIA, and I'm very glad to accept this award on behalf of the LaSalle team and the Glades team, who are just extraordinary, and it's been an absolute joy to work with them and see this project unfold. So on behalf of Mark Haynes, the centre manager, and his whole team, who have just been so enthusiastic in supporting and rolling out and developing this initiative, and there's much, much more to come. And Ben Notley, the asset manager, and Alexandra Randall, who manages the sustainability team at LaSalle. On behalf of all of them, thank you very much. It's a wonderful, wonderful project, and there's much more to come. Thank you very much.
Super, thank you very much, Bruce, and congratulations, Ian and the Wild Glades team, and I cheers you with my water at my end as well. Very well done. So now the next award, number 3, is to be presented is the Habitat Creation Project of the Year Award, Medium Large Scale, sponsored by Berkeley Group. This award is for an enhancement that will have long-term positive impact on biodiversity after the construction process. Examples may include infrastructure projects, energy, transport, water, mixed-use development, or restoration of land previously used for other purposes, such as mineral extraction. So, my great pleasure now to invite the chair of the judging panel, Louise Clark from Berkeley Group, to list the entrants and announce the award winner in this category. Louise.
Thank you, Jim. We're delighted to be part of the BIG Awards again and to be sponsoring 2 awards this year. So the first award, the entries for the Habitat Creation Project of the Year Award for medium and large scale. Those are Crown Farm Quarry by Atkins, Ullswater Heights Leisure Park by BSG Ecology, Tilbury 2 by Graham Construction, and Wall Park redevelopment on former holiday park by Arcadis. This was a really strong category, so the judges also awarded a highly commended, and I'm pleased to announce that the highly commended for this project is Crown Farm Quarry, and the judges said that this was great to see all of the engagement that was undertaken by this project with the local wildlife trust and the schools to create the habitat. And now on, so I congratulate them, and now on to the winner for this award. And the winner is Tilbury 2. by Graham Construction. The judges felt that this submission was very honest, and although there had been a mistake that had been made, following that mistake, the right steps had then been taken to really inform the project team and make sure that the right processes and procedures were in place to ensure that it didn't happen again. So the judges would just really like to commend the team for that. I'd like to now welcome them to say a few words.
Lovely, thank you so much. My name's Rosie Barnett from Graham's, and this project was unprecedented on the terms of scale and the speed in which it had to be delivered. So all credit to Port of London, Tilbury, and the appointed ecologists on the scheme were called Bioscan, and their patience with us and their understanding as we really got to speed and up to grips with it was just what made it possible. So yeah, delighted to get recognised, and yeah, thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Louise, and congrats, Rosie and the team at Graham. Sounds like a very valuable learning experience and a big success coming out of it. And also our first highly commended congrats as well to Atkins. So now moving on to the companion award, if you like, which is for a very popular category. This is Habitat Creation Project of the Year Award, Small Scale. And this is sponsored by Trust Management. Obviously, this award is also given for an improvement that will be long lasting after the construction process, but critically, this is small scale. Examples may include such as green and living roofs, green walls, rain gardens, hibernacular, or habitat restoration and planting. So I'd now like to invite Ainsley Finnan and Nick Burton from Trust Management to list the entries for us and announce our winner, please, if you can. Hello.
Hello, thank you, Jim. The entries for the Habitat Creation Project of the Year Small Scale are Northwood Headquarters by Sanskrit, Bee Friendly Campaign Mead Fleet, Haldon Ecological Mitigation Strategy Atkins, and Eastern Balancing Reservoir Quality Improvement Project by Heathrow Airport.
And there are four more. Mallow's Cotton Biodiversity Offsetting Scheme by Kier Area 7. Marinette Projects, Artificial Rock Pools, Bournemouth University. The Wild Glades, the Glades Shopping Centre by LaSalle Investment Management. And the A120 Bypass by Graham Construction.
The qualities entries of the category were so strong, the judge awarded two projects highly commended. In no particular order, the first highly commended in the Habitat Creation Project of the Year Small Scale category is awarded to Northwood Headquarters, Sanska. The judge's remarks were that they were impressed with the maintenance and management of the existing landscape, showing how easily it would be to replicate. Collaboration between the client to the contractor is evident, making a huge difference. It's good to see wellbeing aspects through the provision of benches and is maximised the potential for people and nature. The second highly commended in Habitat Creation Small Medium Project of the Year category is awarded to Wild Glades Shopping Centre, LaSalle Investment Management. And the judge's comments are: the extent and quality of the engagement of this project is impressive, with a biological festival reaching over 80,000 viewers, 71 schools, natural history pop-up museums, and so much more. And now to reveal the winner for Habitat Creation Small Medium Project of the Year Award is...
The award winner is the Marinette Project Artificial Rock Pools, Bournemouth University. Well done. Here's what the judges had to say. Coastal habitats are often neglected, out of sight and out of mind. This initiative not only provided habitat enhancements, but also monitoring to demonstrate success and encourage wider uptake. This is taking an innovation that was demonstrated at a small scale and scaling up for greater impact. It could easily be scaled again. We would encourage the entrants to seek UK-wide opportunities. Congratulations. Would you like to say a few words?
Hi, yes, thank you so much. I'm absolutely delighted by that. I just want to thank the judges for recognising our hard work and the award sponsors as well. I also want to thank Articology for their unparalleled expertise in the design, manufacture and installation of the Marinef rock pools. Thanks also to Bournemouth, Christchurch and Pool Council and Isle of Wight Council for taking a bit of a leap of faith and letting us put them on their seawall and remaining engaged throughout. Thanks to Roger, Alice and Rick who make up the Marinef project team at Bournemouth University with myself. All of this would not be possible without the project funding, which was co-funded by the European Regional Development Fund by Interreg, France Channel, England. I just also want to congratulate all other projects submitted to this challenge category and recognise the hard work and collaboration those teams have done creating spaces for nature and improving the sense of community in their areas. So well done all, and thank you so much for this recognition.
Super, congratulations Jess and the team at Bournemouth Uni, and also congratulations to the judges. Really tough category, a lot of different projects to compare and contrast, a big field as it were, pun intended. And thank you Ainsley and Nick, and also congrats, highly commended Skanska and Wild Glades picking up their second of the afternoon. So well done everybody, very popular category. Now moving on, number 5 presented is the Innovation Award sponsored by Heathrow. As you might imagine, this award recognises successful, innovative and unusual projects demonstrating application of perhaps bespoke products and interventions, data collection, collation and sharing processes, as well as projects that successfully demonstrate unusual alternative approaches to the normal. Interventions that demonstrate effective enhancement of biodiversity on construction projects with a lasting legacy, it says, that support continual learning and improvement were viewed most favourably. There's a clue there. So this is a category open to a wide range of interpretation, as you can imagine, and the winning scheme selected at the judging panel's discretion. So another tough one. I'd now like to invite Michael Murphy from Heathrow to list the entries and announce our award winner, please, Michael.
Hello everyone, and thank you, Jim. The entries for the Innovation Award are Arborfield Crossing Relief Road by Stantec, the making of the mud flats, the intertidal mud pools enhancements by Bournemouth University, and the East-West Rail Phase 2 by the East-West Rail Alliance. And the winner of the Innovation Award is the Arborville Crossing Crossfield Road. Well done to Stantec. Here's some comments from the judges. The use of the monitoring to help inform the project was praised by the judges. Monitoring, especially post-construction, is not common practice across the industry. So this, combined with the use of 3D modelling, the judges felt showed real innovation. The use of information in stakeholder engagement was also commended. Congratulations and well done.
And I don't know if there's a representative there from Stantec and the project, perhaps to accept the award. And hello, Rachel.
Hello, hi, hopefully you can hear me. So if you can, I'd very much happy to accept this award on behalf of Wokingham Borough Council, Balfour Beatty and of course Stantec as well. It was a very collaborative project to work on this survey protocol, which is hopefully innovative and can be adapted and used in the future for this green bridge and other green bridges. We had important input from conservation evidence as well to make it scientifically robust. So yeah, it's a big collaborative kind of project, and we're very pleased to have been awarded this award. Thank you.
Excellent. And congratulations, Rachel, Stantec and all that team you described. Collaborative process, and interesting to see about 3D back monitoring as well, amongst other things. And thank you, Michael, for presenting. So now we move on to the Biodiversity Legacy Award, which is also generously sponsored by the Barclay Group, an enhancement that demonstrates a long-term commitment to improving biodiversity on site. This may include such as collation of baseline data, monitoring impact of the intervention, introduction of enhancement management plans, or alternative approaches to maintenance schedules and planting policies. So, backed by popular demand, I'd like to welcome again Louise Clark to list the entries and announce the award winner in this category. Louise.
Thank you, Jim. The entries for the Biodiversity Legacy Award are Harbury Railway Cutting by JF Murphy and Sons, Wall Park, redevelopment of the former holiday park by Arcadis, Sudbrook Paper Mill Site by Arcadis and Red Row Homes, and Biodiversity at Green Park by Maple Tree Investment. And again, this was a really tough category for the judges. So there was a highly commended for this award, and the highly commended goes to Sudbrook Paper Mill Site. The judges felt that this was a well thought through mitigation strategy in advance of the development. The overall scheme is commendable, although some of it was thought to be commercially driven. So that was why it was highly commended by the judges. And so then on to the winner for the Biodiversity Legacy Award. The winner is Biodiversity at Green Park. The judges were really impressed with this project, the way that it showed continual improvement and how there had been a strong focus on biodiversity from the start, but then that had really been built on, and different species and different habitats had been brought into different areas within the park. So that continual improvement was really highly commended by the judges. So I'd like to congratulate Maple Tree Investments and ask anyone from the project team to now say a few words.
Wow, thank you very much. So yeah, on behalf of the Maple Tree team and the management team at Green Park, I'd really like to thank our wonderful team for everything they do and therefore helping us to achieve this award. We're really proud to have created a space that demonstrates that businesses and people can work in harmony with biodiversity. Yeah, we're absolutely delighted, so thank you.
Thank you very much, and great to hear you, if not see you, and congrats then Maple Tree Investments, worthy winners, and also highly commended Arcadis and Red Row at the paper mill site, and thanks again Louise. And we are now moving on to our 7th award, and unusually for an awards ceremony, we're actually ahead of schedule. Now that could be the virtual format, or it could be the fact that almost everybody is sober, but either way we are running nicely ahead of time. And so 7th award, this is the Pollinator Award, sponsored by J. Murphy and Sons. It's for an enhancement which safeguards and supports pollinators through the creation or protection of suitable habitat, demonstrates the importance of their contribution to the biodiversity of our environment, or raises awareness of declines in the number, diversity and geographical range of pollinators. And in celebration, I'm wearing my bee cufflinks, especially for this award. You'll be glad to hear. It's inspired by DEFRA's national pollinator strategy. Examples could include wildflower planting, bee hotels, or on-site pollinator awareness initiatives. So I'd now like to invite Simon Weller from J. Murphy and Sons to list the entries and announce our winner. Simon.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Right. Don't know what the video cannot. Sorry, I can't get the video to be working. Apologies for that.
We can see you, Simon, or at least I can.
Oh, so put all right then. Apologies. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Hello, thank you, Jim, for that. Apologies for that. The entries for the Pollinator Award are bee monitoring at Hallsville Quarter, development by Borgs at UK and Link City. Bee friendly campaign by Meadfleet. Prologis Pollinator Project by Heathrow Airport, Harbury Railway Cutting by J. Murphy and Sons. Again, this was highly competitive area, and there was one project which was highly commended in this pollinator category by the judges, and that was awarded to Prologis Pollinated Project at Heathrow Airport. So congratulations to that project. And then we move on to the winner of the Pollinator Award. And this is Bee Friendly Campaign Mead Fleet. Here's what the judges had commented. The long-term impact of this project and scale is really interesting. The potential had been identified through the land holdings. The judges were impressed to see and the knowledge and embedded within the business, which was very admirable. I would like to congratulate the winners, Mead Fleet, and ask for them to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully you can see and hear me. We're delighted. I know I speak from on behalf of all our team here. We're pretty shocked and very delighted that our work's been recognised, and we look forward to continuing. Thank you.
Super. Congratulations, Lucy. Thanks for joining us, and all those at Mead Fleet on the Bee Friendly campaign. Thank you, Simon, for presenting, and also highly commended Prologis at Heathrow Airport, another popular category. Now, this is the final one in our individual categories before the overall winner. It's the last of 8. It's the Construction Phase Award, sponsored by National Highways, and as the name implies, it's an award presented for an enhancement which takes place during the construction phase of a project. Examples may include, say, a green hoarding, a temporary green wall, or a community engagement initiative. And I'd now like to invite Dean Currett-Chris from National Highways to list the entries. And Dean, please announce our final category winner.
Nice to think we're saving the best to last, but you get me, I'm afraid. I've been my pulse is racing now. I'm getting more and more excited as we've gone through this. And as National Highways, we are very keen to deliver biodiversity enhancement, and just seeing and hearing all this is, as I say, quite exciting. The entries for the Construction Phase Award, Jim and everyone, is Biomonitoring at Hallsville Quarter Development by Boyens UK and Link City, the Crown Farm Quarry by Atkins, and the Rotherham Norman 400 kV substation by Siemens. And the winner of the Construction Phase Award is Biomonitoring. So all those bee references, Gill will be happy, Jim, your cufflinks, and you will be happy. So huge congratulations to them. The judges said that the winning project was the use of bees as a biodiversity and pollution indicators. Has the potential to deliver some meaningful results over time at a scale that isn't really feasible through regular survey. The project sought to humanise the urban landscape by the creation of spaces for residents, of course, and the ultimate aim of providing facilities was well thought through and combined with the positive benefit for biodiversity, which I think ticks all our boxes, doesn't it? So congratulations to Boyens UK and Link City, and if somebody would like to say thank you, then be delighted to see them.
Thank you very much, Dean, CIRIA and the Biodiversity Interest Group for organizing this fantastic and inspiring event. It's a huge honor for BIG UK and Link City to receive this award today. This is a project that has been pretty much co-delivered, so I would like to start by recognizing the hard work and passion of Hallsville Quarters site team that have shown a passion to overcome every obstacle that we found in the way and to deliver the ecological enhancement that our clients and the local authority expected for the development. Extend my gratitude to BIG, R&D and Innovation Department that have believed in the Bio-monitoring project from the start, the CSR Regional Manager that has advocated for this project to be implemented, and to all the key pre-construction team members dedicated to the project at early stages. Last but not least, our wonderful partners, Biodiversity and the local beekeepers that have helped us and continue helping us delivering a great project like in Hallsville Quarter. The implementation of biomonitoring has been a long but fascinating path and journey. And when we met the CEO of Biodiversity in Londonville in 2019, we fell in love with the concept of using nature to enhance our projects instead of being exclusive, making them inclusive. So this innovation project is simple, scalable, and brings the best of both worlds, digital and nature, to create a better future for all. Thank you very much, CIRIA. And this award will only help us to keep pushing innovation and using nature to deliver a fantastic project. Keep your eyes peeled for future innovations to come. Thank you.
Super, thank you. What a positive note to end on there. Great sounding project. So congrats, Alejandra, and the biomonitoring team at Hallsville Quarter. Thank you, Dean, for presenting. There you were, bringing together digital and nature in one. So as said, that is the final of the category award winners. We've had 8, and now the final award of the afternoon is in fact best in show, as it were, the one we've all been waiting for, the announcement of the overall winner of the BIG Biodiversity Challenge 2021. And there's a prize. This award prize, 200 square meters of wildflower turf or Meadowscape Pro, is kindly sponsored by the lovely people at Wildflower Turf Limited, and a huge thank you to them for their unwavering support. The overall winner was chosen by the judging panel from the 8 category award winners you've just been watching, and is made for the enhancement that demonstrates the most outstanding commitment to biodiversity, no less. So, on that note, I'd like to invite James Hewitson-Brown from Wildflower Turf Limited to list the 8 2021 category award winners once again, and then, with big trumpet fair, announce our overall winner. Over to you, James.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. And just before I list them, I'd just like to say, because we've been involved with this since I think these awards started, and we've been giving this prize since then, and it has to be said that it is quite amazing to see how it's sort of grown, and the number of entries and the sort of interest in biodiversity, and really the scale of what all these projects are delivering towards improving biodiversity. So it's just fantastic to see over the years, because it's really significantly grown, this whole entry and award. So first of all, I'm just going to go over the category winners again before announcing the winner. Hopefully they're going to come up. Here we go. So Heathrow Airport Biodiversity Management, the Wild Glades, the Glade Shopping Centre, Tilbury 2, Marinef Project Artificial Rock Pools, Harbourfield Crossfield Road, Biodiversity at Green Park, Bee Friendly Campaign, BO Monitoring at Hallsville Quarter Development. So one project has been awarded the highly commended in the overall category by the judges, and that project is Biodiversity at Green Park Maple Tree Investment. And the judges remarked that the great thing about this place is it's a commercial business park, and yet they are trying their best to make it more biodiverse. We need more business parks to think the same, less green striped lawn, more ponds. And I would just add to that, that as a grower of wildflowers, I highly commend the idea of less striped lawns. Obviously they have a place, but it's fantastic to see that Maple Tree investments can recognise the need for less green striped lawns and actually implement and do something about it. So congratulations to them. And now the final overall winner for the category, and we're going to look forward to working with them over the prize. And so as far as the recipient of this goes, well done to the Wild Glades, the Glade Shopping Centre, LaSalle Investment Management. And this is what the judges had to say about this project. The judges were impressed by the entrance approach to taking what may be seen as an industry standard green roof and providing high quality enhancements and follow-up monitoring to maximise the benefits of this space. The proximity to city shoppers, over 4 million a year, and the fantastic community engagement undertaking, pop-up natural history, a biodiversity festival school, and borough council engagement has brought nature to people who may not have had this opportunity. The continuing monitoring and engagement will educate and enthuse the residents of Bromley and the visitors to the Glades. And we know, I just wanted to add that we know about green roofs and the TLC that they need. And it's fantastic to see that this is a green roof is thought of as the sort of start in its process towards delivering biodiversity. Putting this type of habitat in is the starting point for a green roof, because there's work to be done, but at the same time recognizing the value that green roofs can play when it comes to delivering urban biodiversity, because there's a massive area of green roofs out there, and starting to convert more and more to a biodiverse habitat is a fantastic thing. So well done to them, and would you like to say a few words?
Blimey, thank you very much. It's been such an exciting event. I've run out of water, but no, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, CIRIA. Thank you, James. And there's a home waiting for that turf. It's going to push things forward even more. So that's wonderful. Right. And just another huge thank you and congratulations to the Glades team, to Mark Haynes and his amazing centre management team. They've just thrown themselves into this with such enthusiasm and developed all sorts of possibilities from this, not just for the green roof, exactly as you say, James, not just the green roof, but the whole ethos of the centre, the experience of their customers, and actually the shared endeavour of their tenant businesses. So the idea of this building a hub of collaboration that is spilling out into the surrounding community is just an extraordinary thing to see and to be a part of. And this award will, of course, push things forward even more. So on behalf of the Glades team, Ben and Alexandra at LaSalle Management, of course, thank you very much indeed. And amongst such elevated company, really, it's quite extraordinary. So congratulations to everyone, and thank you once again. It's absolutely marvellous. Thank you.
Yay! Super, super. Well, congratulations, Ian, and all those off camera as well. Big congrats to Wild Glades, the LaSalle Investment Management team. Happy rehydration there. Also, of course, highly commended. Such a tough field. Well done, Maple Tree, for picking that up as well. And also a thank you, of course, to James, not just for presenting, but for the prize and for the ongoing support. So a terrific finale there. So there you have it. We've had 8 category awards, 1 overall winner. Congrats to everyone and all the many entries. What a show. And I must also add, what a tonic ahead of COP26 in Glasgow. Now only about, 6 weeks away, for which one of the 4 core goals is adapt to protect communities and natural habitats. As we've seen this afternoon, the range of projects, the breadth of participants, the enthusiasm, and the sheer volume of positive impacts and benefits that biodiversity work brings to both the environment and society, it really has been something to celebrate and will continue to be so. So thank you all for joining the Big Biodiversity Challenge 2021. And now, with the official presentation ceremony complete, it's my pleasure to hand you back to Dirk for a few closing words. Dirk.
Thanks very much, Jim. Really appreciate how you've delivered today's awards. You've really enhanced it and given it the vigor and energy that we were hoping for. And also thank you very much again to Gill, Perkins and David Elliot for their keynote speeches at the start. But above all, I mean, if I had a hat, I would take my hat off to the winners today. Amazing, the highly commended winners as well. I think you're all winners because every single applicant has done just one thing, which is going to make a difference, especially as Jim said, ahead of COP26. I think we will make a difference as a construction industry. You are leading the way. You are making sure that our future is safeguarded in every aspect that we want it to be. So again, a big virtual applause to everyone who took part and made it such a great event. And thank you very much for attending. And I hope to see you again, who knows, maybe face to face next year. Thanks again, everyone.